okay, not only do I need to do something for women, but I freaking need to do something for women of a certain age. Suddenly, women are I'm getting chills. When you hit your 40s, it's a glorious thing. We are so valuable. If you're aging, you're living. That's what we have to remember.
So, Barbara Brooks, my friend.
Yes.
It is really cool to sit here with you because, we've known each other for years. But we have always
2011.
Orbited each other and never gotten a chance to meet. But we have stayed in touch and followed each other's stories. And we have been champions, not only of each other, but of other women entrepreneurs. And so, we're sort of connected at the soul level, but we've never been connected actually at the physical level.
So hello.
I know. So, it's actually a really, really big deal. And I know that we had our prep call and that, your story, when we talk about heart, hustle, and humility and the challenges of being an entrepreneur, and particularly a female entrepreneur.
And black.
And someone who is actually an accidental entrepreneur. Your story, I think, resonates not only with me, but I think it will resonate with a lot of not just women, but humans who have found themselves in similar positions. So, you are the founder, CEO, the main at SecondAct Women, and you are a speaker, you're a writer, you're a creator, you're an influencer, a publicist, a janitor. You embrace pop culture like no other entrepreneur I've ever met. But why don't you, let's start this way. Let's start with you talking about your journey and start us at the point where you lost your job, a long-time job, working as a PR person at a mall. Yeah. So this is how it all began for you, right?
Yes.
Right? You didn't wake up and say, aha, I'm going to start a thing. No. Walk us through the whole story, the genesis of SecondAct Women and what it is. Let's explain it.
So, yes, back in 2011, I was in my 40s, my mid-40s by then. And I was, the marketing and PR and director of business development for a shopping center. It was actually the largest shopping center within a four-state region here in Colorado. And I woke up one day, I had a meeting with the VP of sales and marketing for the Denver Broncos. And sure enough, I come back from that lunch, and that day, my general manager, who was extremely tough to work with, very good at what she does, but it was a different personality that I was working with, decided that was the day that she was going to let me go. And I had no clue it was coming. I had always done a stellar job wherever I've gone. I'm an international award-winning shopping center marketing director. Yes, that's a thing. And so on a Wednesday, not even a Friday. Isn't that a Friday that people usually get fired?
Like Friday is the fire. Friday is rejection day.
That's the rejection. Is that it?
Like that's when HR. I don't know. Like it must.
It was hump day, for God's sakes.
Right.
And so I was just shocked. I held a lot of resentment for this person for a very long time. And then it took me growing up at 50, which I believe is what my book is going to be called one day. I'm now 57. But what had happened is, yes, she said goodbye that day. The person who was my regional was also working in that building. She didn't know it was going to happen until that day. And she was actually a personal friend of mine who helped me get that job. So anyway, here I was, thrust upon with a homeowner, single, a huge responsibility because I had a 7-pound dog.
Right.
And I was stuck with what the heck was I going to do? And I can't tell you how scary, how I felt unworthy. I felt rejected. I felt so many different things that I'd never felt before on a job, because again, I was known as doing good work in this industry.
You said something to me like a while ago. I think I was still an entrepreneur, and you said that, until this moment in your life, when you got let go, you had never considered your gender or your age as a factor in your success, right? And it was prescient, right? Like it just didn't occur to you that would be the thing, right? That people would hold against you. So I just wanted to drop that in there because it was a defining moment for you.
It was a defining moment for me because what happened was, I become this accidental entrepreneur because, for the first, I'd say 3-4 months, I'm living off of the money that they did give me. So it was a weird firing. So I was, able to try to collect myself, although it was very hard to do that. So then I kept hearing from friends, well, you know enough people in the market, you should just open your own marketing firm. And at the time I'm thinking, are you nuts?
Right.
I'm a corporate girl. I've been corporate since I was 20, since out of college, in college, doing internships. So sure enough, I decided, I guess I will. Because guess what? I couldn't get hired. And I didn't know at the time it was age then. And I was in my mid-40s at the time. So yes, that was my first unconscious realization, or wasn't even a realization. I was unconscious. I didn't know that it was age. So because I couldn't get a job, because I kept applying. I took a very small job for a magazine for, as it would be, as I'm thinking about it, older adults. And it wasn't my gig. It wasn't for me. So I left it. But so it was tough. So I became I opened a marketing and public relations firm, and the name was very unique. It was called Brooks Marketing Group.
Whoa, shocking.
Slow down. I was thrown into it.
Slow down.
Slow your roll, Barbara. I opened this firm, and then what was interesting is I have to take a step back because there's a person in my life that becomes a part of my story that I had met at Park Meadows.
Right.
So when I was at the shopping center, I had met my soon-to-be one day 3-time business owner, a collaboration partner, and that was Lupe. So we had partnered on a deal that we were doing at the mall. She was representing a very large hospitality group. I was representing Santa at the mall, and I had sold them some space at the shopping center. So now, fast forward back to the story. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm doing marketing. I'm getting more and more gigs because, as it would be, when you are a certain age, you have a bank of contacts. And in the mall industry, and I had also dipped in radio and TV sales. So I have that sales acumen. And so I just started making calls. And next thing you know, I'm getting people coming to me, which I think happens when you are of a certain age. You have this bank of connections that start, and they recognize your value, although you're not recognizing it in that moment because I'm still lost in who I am, but I'm sort of faking it until I make it. And I start getting these really amazing clients. But then my work base becomes so much that I remember, I had met this really wonderful woman, Lupe. She's a great writer. She's great at PR. Yeah. I like PR, but she's literally in it all day, every day. Let me just call her. So we start doing some deals together. And then she courts me several months in and says, hey, I think we should partner and start a company together. So we started a company, Decibel, marketing and PR. And next thing you know, we have more business coming in. But by the time it's 2018, so we'd been working together now since about 2011, 2012. We're both burned out.
Yeah.
We're burned out on client business. We're burned out trying to find the business. We're burned out even just doing the work, not having consistency. Because again, I'm a corporate girl, so I was used to having a check, and a very lovely check and bonus coming in every 2 weeks. So 2018, I decided I'm going to go back to corporate America. I'm worth a lot of money. I've done a lot of work. I'm now owning my worth. I know how much I'm worth. I know how much I should be making at that point. And I can't get hired.
Yeah, I know. I remember this part of the story.
51.
But it was a turning point,
was
right?
a turning point.
It was a turning point for you.
It
So
was a huge turning point.
Yeah, keep going. So you couldn't get, like, this is where the accidental, entrepreneur,
Second time, in a sense.
Yeah. But this was where you really said, if I'm having this problem, other people are having this problem as well, right?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. As a marketer by trade, I'm into research and stats and all of that. So I decide, okay, I can't get hired, so I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to create a company that will be an event company. This is 2018, an event company to bring women together. In my head, it was going to be Denver Startup Week mixed with South by Southwest on a very small level
Right.
for women. So what did I do? I bought up all the URLs for womensbusinessweek.com. Still have all of them.
Who among us hasn't gone on a URL bender? Right? Like,
Oh my! I can't even tell you how many URLs I had back in the
that's
day.
a Gen X thing. I mean, like, it's just a weird. It's like hoarding URLs.
Oh yes. I just recently got rid of quite a few mixed bags of trips because I wanted to be a travel. Yeah, I got rid of a lot of them.
We all did that.
So then what happened was, as the marketing, the research part came in, where I was bringing women together, interns who are now in corporate America, but they're and I'm not thinking age though. So I'm just bringing people together from my group and my work background. So I did 3 brainstorm sessions and I kept hearing something resonate. And then it was my aha moment. It was like, okay, not only do I need to do something for women, but I freaking need to do something for women of a certain age. I am hearing that when they go to conferences or events, there's clicks, but also in corporate America, they're unheard, unseen, undervalued. They feel all of that. So not only are they feeling that on the job, but they're internally feeling that at home and within themselves. And then society is telling us we should be retired by the time we're a certain age. And then you've got the Golden Girls where they're thinking, everybody's thinking, that's what we should be looking, that's what we look like.
Right.
And Molly Shannon doing 50, on SNL with her pants to here at 50.
Right.
So I decided, oh my goodness, I don't know what the name of this thing is going to be. I'm going to put Women's Business Week on the shelf. And by the way, Women's Business Week / a company for women had been in my head for years. I can't even tell you how many people I had said, one day I'm going to create a company that's just for women. Didn't know what it was going to be. And then sure enough, as I like to say, as the Lord would have it, this came to be that it was going to be SecondAct Women.
Yep.
So we started the company. It was going to be called Greenlight.
You and Lupe.
No, here's what happened was, actually, it was still me because Lupe is out there trying to get her first corporate gig. She, after college, she's a Californian, but after college, she had only been on corporate America her very first time out of college, but she'd been an entrepreneur, very successful, well over 6-figure PR person, and so but she wanted consistency. She was burned out on being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
She couldn't find a job, but at the time she's now working also. So we both still had different jobs as we're holding on to our companies. She's now doing work for another company and says, so when I create this thing, whatever it was going to be, she's the first person I called after I figured out what it was going to be or what the focus was going to be. I said, Lupe, you want to come back? Can we, I know we consciously uncoupled a couple of months ago and I know you're having trouble getting into corporate. I know you're ready to get out of that other job you're doing and or consulting job. And she said, you know what? I can only give you 20% of my time. So she knew her boundaries.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't at the time. So she said 20%. So I said, okay. So then I created the company. I did everything. She and I still napkined it, what the name was going to be. I have SecondAct literally on there, but all these other names. And then I had a beautiful, beautiful group. Those women that were in the brainstorm sessions with me, including my 20-something intern, Taylor, they all said, we're with you on this. And these are women who had corporate gigs and entrepreneurs, a mixture. And they said, we love this. We want to help you figure out what this is going to be. And then it was born. And our first event was 2019. And it was launched. Still, it was going to be a event company for women. The idea was that BizLifeCon was the foundation of this thing, and the idea was BizLifeCon would then be a conference for women over 40 that was about business and life, because it all crosses.
It does.
Sorry, people, no matter what people say, there is no balance. It's all, especially now.
Yeah.
So we were going to do Chicago. We had picked Chicago, Austin, San Francisco, Atlanta, and then New York. We were going to take this conference to all places. And then we launched BizLifeCon, but guess what? We sold sponsors. We had Microsoft who said yes to us. We had Colorado Biz Magazine say yes to us.
Yeah.
We had all these companies say yes to us. The women were not buying tickets.
Yeah.
They didn't. I think Lupe and I are thinking at this time. By the way, Lupe's now 100% in. By January, she's like, I'm in.
20% gave. The 80% was over. It 100. Yeah.
Is over.
Yeah.
The 80-20 rule is over. So we're in, and literally, Amy, a week, you do remember this, a week before the event was going to be at the beautiful Art Hotel.
Yep.
We had a lot of money into it, y'all. And what happened was we weren't selling tickets. We'd only sold 25 tickets. And Lupe and I are looking at each other going, what are we going to do? So we decided to do and have an executive decision and we said, let's change it. Let's move it. We're not going to give up.
Yeah.
We're going to move it. Let's maybe shift our messaging because something's not resonating.
Right.
Something to the women is saying, I don't want to be at an event that says that I'm a certain age. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So now they're at an event that says they're over 40. And then also at that event, what am I supposed, what?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
So as marketers and PRs, we thought, okay, our messaging must be off somewhere. But what was interesting is all those other companies, the minute we got on the phone to them first to say, will you still be with us if we move this a month out? Said yes. We believe in this mission. We believe in women.
So did you lose any sponsors at all?
Lost none.
Wow.
And instead, they amped up the marketing, which was beautiful. Colorado Magazine, the publisher was a female at the time, and she said, "We're in it. We're going to help you." And so instead, they said, "Yeah, we're still in it." Microsoft said, "Yeah, we'll still be there. We'll still lead a session." They brought products out in the whole bit, and so we shifted the messaging. We shifted. Turns out, now listen, I don't have kids, so I also didn't realize that when we had the event, it was also spring break.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's all those things happening as well. So, girl, we moved it and we not only hit our target goal of 100, but 139 women showed up.
That's amazing. And that was just by tweaking the message, or was it like, what was
doing more PR.
Okay.
It was tweaking the message. And it was also using our volunteers as advocates more.
Right.
So we had the volunteers who had helped us actually produce this event too. Literally, they had, their own jobs.
Right.
So we told them what the deal was. And so they were on it.
But did you, on the branding and messaging side, did you keep it as a forward-facing, this is an event for women over 40, or did you tone it down?
We weren't going to change that.
You weren't, because how could otherwise? What's the thing, right?
So we kept just honing in on the Daniel School for Women. I forgot. I can't remember if that's the actual name anymore. Yeah, Daniel School at DU. The dean was taking part in it. She was not only going to lead a panel, but she was also leading a great session. And so we just told. By the way, because then we had to go, we lost a couple of people. Where we lost people, by the way, is some of the presenters. Because now when we moved it, they couldn't now do it. Right. So we lost some really great presenters.
That's logistical, though,
yes,
right?
Logistical. Okay. Yep. So we just amped it up. We did a lot more PR. And oh my gosh, the next thing, we're looking at the numbers. The night before we were at 101, the night before the event, and by morning it was 139. Suddenly, women are getting chills. I'm also about to cry.
No, it's a
Because
success.
all of a sudden, these women suddenly are figuring out, because we're doing more social media and we're talking more, and they're getting it. And you know what happened? These women said the results, the surveys, and just listening and the buzz said it was the best conference they'd ever been. They felt seen and heard, and they felt like there was finally something there were no clicks. Because we've all been to business conferences where there's you get with your group,
Yeah,
you know.
find your people.
And so, oh my gosh, all of a sudden we had something.
It's a lot. And I remember this part of your business. And one of the things that I really want to talk to you about is that, we can talk about this launch point, right? And you had all of the success and you built this incredible community, right? It was one of the first community-based big movements in Denver, right? And outside of Denver, but it was hubbed here. So, but it wasn't always like that. Right? Like that initial launch was incredibly successful.
Yeah.
And I have been by your side remotely, right?
You have been. You even took part in one during the COVID time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, one of the things about you that I think is a lesson for entrepreneurs is your resiliency, right? And you are committed to doing what's right for the community that you have created. So talk to me about those ups and downs of being an entrepreneur with a partnership that went south and dissolved later on.
Yeah.
And I've seen you in some hard moments, right?
You have, because I'm honest online.
Right. Yeah. And so how do you...
And back channel me saying...
Right. Right. No, I mean, it's just it's, you're very transparent and you are a walking example of what authenticity is. And so how do you do it? And I know that when we talked, you said your mother had a lot to do with your resiliency. So talk us through that, because it's really important. And I know it's hard, and I'm right here, and we can take a beat.
Yeah, because there's as you know, there's more to that story about my mom. So my mom was a single mom, and my parents were married for 18 years, military brat, Colorado Springs, born in France, raised here. But they got a divorce. I was in the 4th grade, and they'd been married all those years, both from Houston. And my dad didn't want to pay child support. They had a house that they had saved. We had lived in a trailer park, y'all, literally. Garden of the Gods trailer park. And they saved all their money to buy a house, but then they get a divorce. And my dad doesn't want to pay child support, which, by the way, for 2 kids was like $100 back then in the 70s. I mean, come on, Dad, really? And there are stories that I learned later that I now look back. I always knew my mom was a strong woman, but I get my resiliency and stick-to-itiveness from her, because she was not about to let go of that house.
Yeah.
I remember looking back as an adult, seeing that there were bills, or the bills that were saying shut off, or we'd come home and the electricity was shut off. Well, I'm not thinking anything. I don't know about bills or anything. We're just thinking, because it's on the next day or what have you. So it turns out my mom has always been very strong, independent. She was actually able, because in the 70s, women couldn't even have a checkbook till the mid-70s. Or a checking account, credit cards. My mom was able to get a credit card because her name is Bobby, and a woman at Sears knew her and said, I'm going to sign you up for this card, even though only men can have it. So crazy to think that. And was able to get her first credit card so that she can make a home for my brother and I.
Right.
And she was always a giver, picking up GIs on the way into Fort Carson because their car broke down. Bringing home Bill, who's this 6'4" man who was, I forgot the term these days for mentally handicapped. And Bill would come and do things around the house and be so happy. And she'd give him her last dollar, is what I'm guessing, because she wanted to do for Bill. So my mom seeing her stick through it and finally making her way up the ranks as a manager at a hospital, and fighting as a Black woman, as a tall Black woman, which can make you also a minority in some instances, but making her way through, I saw that.
Yeah.
And so I actually used to remember sitting in meetings at Fort Carson at the end of a table, and my mom with other officers are delivering to the new GIs what they get and her department, how her department helps you and your wife make appointments at the hospital, blah, 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 blah. And I remember seeing that and all the awards. This woman stuck to it. She's an amazing human being and always proud of me no matter what I've done in life. So I have that in me. And because of that, and because I know that this mission is very important, and the number of women that have in whether it's social environments or speaking, whatever it may be, and just I've stuck to it, and I have resiliency because I know it's worth it, because I know that there's a problem that needs to be solved. And ageism is it. Ageism and ableism are the two that have been left off of DE&I initiatives. And if somebody like myself and other people, Janine and some others that are out there fighting the good fight, don't fight it, then where will we be? Someone has to.
Right. Now,
it's been at the expense of income and everything.
That was going to be my okay. It is really great to have a mission and to know what you stand for. But on the cash flow side of a business, you have hit bottom a couple of times, but you've stuck with it because you believe, right?
Yeah.
I know that you believe.
Yeah.
And, you've had some wins, right? Like you got the Facebook grant, which was super cool. And you got to, that was $50,000 that.
And then it turned out to be $80,000 because we won. 6 of us won an additional $30,000.
That's right.
Because we had to present, to all these major corporations during that accelerator program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my question to you for entrepreneurs and dreamers and accidental entrepreneurs is, how do you balance the passion that you have for your cause with the reality of cash flow and revenue, right? And I know it's better now, but I'm talking about how you get through those really hard times as an entrepreneur.
I always have to laugh at when I tell this story. Only some people are going to understand what a cobbler is. But I was the cobbler without shoes. And that's the same. Lupe and I were the cobbler without shoes. I said that to my intern one time. She's like, what does a peach pie have to do with shoes?
Oh, no. Like, if I could. So there are still cobblers. Did you know they're still called cobblers? No, it's a real thing. I looked it up.
I didn't know they were still around, but I know.
My husband, he's like, well, I've got a hole in my shoe. I need to go to the cobbler. I'm like, are we living in like 1520? Like what? Anyway, so you're the cobbler.
So we were the cobbler without shoes. Here we were leading, because the company is based on the foundation of helping women in professional personal development.
Right.
So here we are leading this and hosting these workshops and these conferences and doing all of these things and bringing experts in, literally experts, educators and advisors and coaches to help these women grow their companies or talk about mental health and menopause and all of these things, but we're not taking care of ourselves. So what was happening is, and this is what happens with entrepreneurs, especially I believe if you're creative and you're a visionary and you just are, especially if you have ADHD, which I understand is a trait that you just have all these ideas.
Yeah.
Lupe and I, we were not allowing things to stick. We were just go. Here's an idea, let's do it. Here's an idea, let's do it. We were trying to do it all. We would hear someone say, here's another idea. So what was happening is we didn't have our own plan in place.
Right.
We didn't have a business plan. We didn't have a one-sheeter. We added up here and a couple of things. Now, we had marketing plans because I believe in a marketing plan and a strategy, which I do, of course, believe in a business plan. We didn't have our revenue model literally laid out and projected.
Yeah.
Forecasted.
Yeah.
Okay, because if someone's only paying, however much a month for a membership, because we're a paid membership, that's one of our revenue streams. And that's all that we were, anyway, regardless. we were not doing the work ourselves. So we were actually putting ourselves at risk, and did for 5 years, until Lupe herself burned out. She had a kid going to college, and she said, my husband, boom, I can't do this. So I said, okay, I'm carrying the ball. Well, what I tell entrepreneurs is, don't do what we did. Take the time, get that, even if it's on a piece of paper, just obviously understand what problem you're solving and how only you can solve that problem, obviously, but have that plan in place and understand if it's one or two revenue models, then how is that going to feed you?
Right.
Because you will be fed ideas, especially again, if you love ideas and want to do it all. And that's what we were doing. And that's where we failed.
Yeah. No, I think that is such a good point for entrepreneurs to take away from this conversation, is that, it is so wonderful to be invested in your idea, like with your heart and your soul and your sense of purpose. But you got to know your numbers, and you got to make sure you have revenue pro formas. And so, it doesn't have to be the thing that is the most important, but it's, as you know, it is the blood of the organism. And when you get to that point where you want to exit or you want to sell, you've got to document where this stuff is coming from. And for, creatives, it's not always natural, because you are working on emotion, right? Which is, like your story to me is just, it really is the essence of a heart and a hustle. And, like you fell into this and yet you believed. Like,
and now I'm in it.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, like you are in it, right? Like you're in it.
And I burned out last year because I was almost out of it.
Yep. No, I know. And you've had that, but you always, you're a survivor, Okay. So if the master of the universe of mall PR called you, and I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Called you up and said, hey, I've got you a sweet, cushy job, C-level. Would you go back to corporate? Would you? I didn't think so.
I know. No, I wouldn't. And it's funny how things happen, because last year when I burned out, Lupe burned out first. Then I was like, yay, it's back to being my company. I could say that, and she knows we laugh about it. Yay, it's back to being my company. I now don't have to go through, my partner to do things. And then sure enough, within 3 months, come January of 2023, I was exactly where she was. Like, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.
My pockets are empty. I'm moving. There's no traction. And so, and sure, we've gotten in Forbes and Fast Company, and we're getting in on TV, and we've got all this, and we've created somewhat of a movement. We've got literally a global community inside of our Facebook group.
I know.
And so we're doing podcasts from the UK and on. Pfizer, I just did one with Pfizer. But I burned out. And so guess what happened? And I'm so glad this happened, because things happen for a reason. I was trying to find a job last year, 56 at the time, ageism still.
Yeah.
I would get not a culture fit. I would get, we're going in another direction, overqualified, not enough skills in this area, whatever, ghosted, all of that. And it 3-4 months of looking. And then my mom had her stroke.
Right. I remember.
So when she had her stroke, then I had to put me on the side, because she's my heart.
Take a beat. None of this is easy. Like, you have definitely chosen the path of most resistance, It's hard.
No doubt. And so so when that happened, I happened to, at that same time, have a conference called Career Con that we were hosting for our ladies. The ladies who were finding it hard to get a job. So I was literally at the back taking my own notes, because I'm, trying to find a job, and I've got recruiters in the room. I'm like, so then that happens. And then I had to disengage in a sense. I had to then shift. And then, it was all of our lives changed. We, sell the house after 50 years. Yeah, she kept it that long, everyone. She stuck with it. Move her up to Denver, whole bit, lots that had to be done. I even had a caregiving event in the middle of all that because I said, are you kidding me? This is what we have to go through. We can't go to one website to get all of this information. Are you kidding me? Like it really, caregiving, by the way, really is a second job. There's no doubt. The first 4 to 6 months is definitely another job. So what happened was, put that aside. I'm now shifting. By the way, I'm still wondering what I'm going to do with the company. But then there were 2 women who were at CareerCon from New York. Mimi and Jackie came out. So they have an organization similar to mine, but just in New York. And they saw the power of what I had built here. And they said, coaches need coaches. Now, I'm not a coach, but that's just an analogy, of course. Coaches need coaches. If you need help, because I told them I was burning out, because we'd had long conversations over the course of years now. And they said, let's get on a phone call because you need to be reminded what you have. What you have built is what we've always wanted in New York. The camaraderie, the fact that it wasn't crabs in a barrel and that the women were there to support and being real and honest. You have something and we want to help you however way we can. And that just, at that same time when this was happening with my mom, I thought, I've been doing this for a reason. These weren't wasted years.
Yeah,
because that's what's going to happen is you're going to think you put all that heart and work it.
Right, but sometimes you have to take a pause, right?
You do.
And that time is probably what gave you that recharge, and then things started happening. You know what I mean? And I just have to just based on this conversation and you know what we've talked about. You know, one of your messages, whoever is not following you on social media is losing out because you are irreverent, transparent, authentic, hilarious, baudy, right? You're all those
My mom was like, do you have to share all of that?
Right. You're a hoot. You're an absolute blast to follow. And last week you posted this thing that really resonated with me. And I think it will resonate with a lot of entrepreneurs who are listening to this, but I want you to explain this because when you posted this, I could feel the energy of just unstoppable.
Yeah.
Right. So you posted that the goals that you have set for yourself in the future, right?
Yeah.
Very, very soon is you want to emerge and amplify. And let's talk about that because that is a hell of a philosophy, right? It's really cool.
Yeah.
So talk to me about how that works, but not only how it works for you, how other entrepreneurs can take the concept and your experiences, right, and the mistakes you've made and put these all together and make it work for them. So let's talk emerge and amplify.
So what happened was, accomplished was my word last year, but 2023 got hijacked by my mother, some friends, family members getting cancer, friends passing, the whole bit.
Yeah.
So then I thought, okay, accomplished wasn't happening last year. I'm going to make that my word this year. But then over the weekend, a couple of weeks ago, I love setting goals and all of that and vision boarding. I'm one of those nerds. It just didn't seem like it fit. Accomplished didn't seem like it fit.
It seems past tense.
It seemed, And because that's what I wanted to be accomplished by the end of, last year. By the end. So I thought, what is a word? And I just started Googling. And honestly, I started thesaurusing words. And that can resonate with how I wanted to feel and where I wanted to go. Because and I said this earlier, I now know about boundaries. I used to think boundary speak was BS. I used to think that was too woo. I didn't understand it. And sure enough, I understand it because I've always been a yes person. If I could do something for somebody, I will. But it's been as we said, it's been at the expense of my needs. So what happened was I decided, you know what? I want to emerge as brand Barbara. And I want to emerge as a speaker. I want to emerge as a human who will continue my mission and my vision for eradicating ageism, especially gendered ageism. But I also want to focus on me and how my personal brand can help other people. Because I've built a great personal brand with SecondAct, which, by the way, that's the Amplify part of it. So with Emerge, I want to emerge as a public speaker, a paid public speaker, because we like to do things for free.
Pay yourself first. Yeah.
Pay yourself. as a paid public speaker, main stage, and a facilitator of some of the things that I like to talk about and help as many people as I can, because what's been happening is I've been helping other people in other ways that hasn't benefited the whole in my for my brand. And so I want to emerge, yes, as I don't like butterflies, so I'm not going to use that analogy. They creep me out. But I want to emerge because I've been holding myself back.
Right.
I've been doing for so long that it's my time.
And don't you think if you give yourself permission, right, to emerge, that only good things are going to come, not only for your business, but for you?
So so it's funny you say that, because that's exactly what's been happening. Now I'm getting speaking gigs. Now Western Union just did a global event for them, 4.75 rating out of 5 from their
And your internet wasn't working, right?
My internet wasn't working like minutes before. And I'm tech. I am like, I'm a techie. So I'm like, what? The first time ever, and my internet wasn't working. I'm like calling Xfinity, and so we got it fixed literally minutes before we're going to a global audience. I've got a TV station, a large broadcast company that's global, that now is looking at doing something locally. So it's funny, the minute you put something out there, it's like they say, the minute you put that out in the universe. Yeah. So the minute I started thinking about Barbara Brooks and how am I going to take care of me, it started coming. It's the wild thing, the wildest thing. But then the Amplify side, so not only am I emerging and wanting to amplify Barbara Brooks, but I'm not going to forget, because I'm doing this still for these women who have held me up. Because you said I'm honest. So when I'm honest, especially inside of the SecondAct women group, about, ladies, my depression is hitting me.
Yeah.
I will suddenly get these calls, because I don't hold back on those things anymore. We can't. We shouldn't.
Right.
We need to be lifted up by other people. We can't do it alone. We women think we can, and we can. But it's great to, have that backing. So the Amplify is, I want to amplify the SecondAct sisterhood. That when you hit your 40s, it's a glorious thing. And corporate America, stop not hiring us. We are so valuable to your bottom line, because that's what you're thinking, but also productivity, creativity, judge, all these things. And then VCs, give us the money. Do you know what happens when you give women the money to do the things that they want to do? We can make you your money back and then some. Just believe in us. So I'm amplifying, and emerging, not just Barbara Brooks, but I want to create this beautiful movement where people are not afraid of their age.
Right.
They're not afraid, because if you're aging, you're living. That's what we have to remember.
Right.
I don't care if you're Botoxing up or not. You could do whatever you. I'm not the anti when it comes to that. You could do what you want. I'm on Mounjaro myself, but you can do what you want. So it's not about that. It's not about the anti-aging creams. I'm not a fan of the term anti-aging this and that, because we're aging. I just want society to understand our worth. And so I want to amplify that message that we are worthy of everything. Don't give us the black balloons for our birthdays, because we're at the top of the hill. We're not at the bottom. We're not over the hill. We're at the top going, what? What am I doing next? That's where we are.
Yeah,
today.
and I think that, with SecondAct women, and also with, your Emerge and Amplify, one of the really powerful messages that is sort of, unofficially shaken out of SecondAct women is that it's not a matter of waiting to be invited to sit at the table. It's taking your seat at the table. Agency. Right? Agency. And so I think that is what one of the powerful messages, and why you will not ever let that go.
No, because I'm seeing that happen. That's the beauty of, and why I will not ever give it up. So things stop at freezing. That happened last year, the burnout. But again, when I am meeting and doing coffee, oh my gosh, these ladies that have emerged themselves from being a part of this sisterhood that says it's okay to talk about this, that, or the other. It's okay if you want to grow gray. Doesn't matter. It's natural hair color. That's all it is. We're here to support you. It's okay to ask for help, but also what I'm seeing is the collaborations, companies being created. These women saying, okay, if I can't get hired, I'm getting ghosted. I'm hearing Barbara's story, or I'm hearing Sarah's story, or whomever's story, and they decided to take agency. I can. I just heard a story last week of somebody who had been looking, Dina, who had been looking for years, and she's with a company, but she's not happy. But she can't get hired by another company. She decided, I'm going to start my own company.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just it works out that way sometime. And, you've been so generous with your time. And I have one last question for you. And, so many takeaways from what you have said today. If you had one piece of advice, right? Like from all of these ups and downs and, the pain and the joy of entrepreneurship, one piece of advice for anyone, male, female, out there who might also be an accidental entrepreneur, what would that piece of advice be?
There'd be a lot of advice I would give. I think the piece of advice I would give is if you truly have a problem, for me, I think if you truly do have a problem that you have the solution to, stick to it. Get a mentor, ask for help.
And never
Don't try to
take
do
no
it yourself.
For an answer.
Never take no for an answer, because I didn't want to take no. I could have easily
Yeah.
Don't take no. Don't take your family member who says, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, or
that I thought I saw something like that somewhere.
Right.
Or no, do it. And I like to say, when Oprah was in town, literally the week before the world shut down, she happened to be in Denver, and I remember there was this sign that Lupe and I took a picture of, and it said, "I will, watch me." That's my saying.
Yeah.
And that's what I say to you, is if you truly believe and you have an answer for something, but you also really believe in whatever the product, the service, whatever it may, I'm a social enterprise, whatever it is, do it.
I think that is, you can't overstate that enough. Like that fire in your belly and, the joy of creating something that's never existed before is one of the things that makes entrepreneurship magical. And also, it is magical that I finally got to meet the physical representation of Barbara Brooks. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. My love.
Woo!